Yo, welcome back to the BST4 channel. Witness, what's going on? What's happening, man? We're talking about 4.6 single overhead cam versus a 302 inside of this 96 Crown Victoria. Which one you guys are going to choose? Now, this is a non-PI head engine, and we're going to probably swap in a 302, but hey, you guys are going to decide, is it the 4.6 or the 302 push rod? Let's go with the pros and cons of each engine versus the money that we're going to spend. So let's get right into it. Before you even start swapping your engine, you got to figure out the availability for you. Not me, but for you guys. What is available at your disposal at any given time? When you go to your local junkyard, what do they have mass amounts of? And you build upon that. Do the research, see if this is feasible for you, and you kind of work with it like that. Now, my junkyard here, we don't have much of anything. It's going to be 302s, occasionally 351s, and beat up double overhead cam 4.6. There will be no 5.4 single overhead cam or double overhead cam. But I do have a 5.4 single overhead cam 2 valve that I can install quickly. This thing has probably around 98,000 miles on it. I was going to use this, but I kind of opt out and I said, you know what, I'm not going to be bothered with this engine and install it in the Crown Victoria. Well, it don't rev like the 4.6, and I like that rev happiness of the 4.6 versus this, even though this has a lot more torque. Not horsepower now, we're speaking about torque, and now we do have to go into torque nowadays. You have a 4,000 pound car. Torque moves mass. Horsepower keeps the power going and finishes up the whole thing. So you're going to need at least 350 in torque to just get it out of its own way. So this will be ideal for that. But if you can do this with a 4.6 2 valve, why not, right? This is the dilemma that we're dealing with. So for me, I would do this on another note, but this is not what I would want right now. Now, I do have a used and abused 4.6 2 valve PI that I took out of my Lincoln. Now, with this engine here, it only smokes. It didn't knock, it didn't do anything else. It didn't grind, it just smoked. So for me, it could be the piston rings, or to me, it really feels like, or seems like, the valve stem seals. Now, we can slap this heads on this Crown Victoria right here. Now here's the technical aspect of this situation here. Please listen up closely. Alright, here's how this works. The entire non-PI top head cams and intake and heads together are very restrictive. The heads themselves are not that bad. With a little work, you can actually get them to outflow PI heads. Truth to be told, the PI cams intake swap in the non-PI engine is down on peak power about 5% over the stock PI engine. But that's not to say the PI heads aren't still the better hit and the better casting. Low speed velocity, mid-level flow levels are still better with the PI casting because of its revised combustion chamber and the design to reduce valve shrouding. The best option is to swap out these heads out of this PI engine and put them on a non-PI block. That will boost the compression to 10.5 to 1. It doesn't make it flow better. The heads don't flow better. They just operate better. Now that's quite of a difference. So what you still need to do is you still need to port just a little bit, because the compression is bumped up. You want this stuff to come in and out quickly, so you still need to port the head to get the maximum performance out of there. With that swap alone, you should get 30 more horsepower, somewhere around there. So if you guys want to do this swap here, if you got the heads for free, you're going to need a timing set, water pump, and oil pump. Altogether, that's $140. That's a special deal that I've seen on eBay. Then you may need the timing components to kind of like get everything lined up properly. And if you got more compression, it's best to get APR studs, right? And then you can get you a nice good Felpro head gasket set, which has everything except head bolts. Now that will cost you $219. Now altogether, that's $719 without the machine work. Now, your other option can be just basically get a swap like this right here. Just get a more modern Crown Victoria engine, like I had mentioned in this video right here. You can click that link up there and you can see that video, and then that would explain that swap. But 1 hour later, we've taken the heads off on this thing here. We got head over here, we got another head over there. Everything is pulled off. We got a good amount of goodies. These parts you love to save and put to the side just in case you open up a motor, you're missing some parts because you lost them, you have something good. Now if you look at this here, this thing is not even really worn that bad. So, you know, the engine was running pretty decent. The pistons were leaking. I can kind of see that. You can look kind of in there. Yeah, so there's the pistons, probably not the valve stem seal. So that's what's wrong with the engine. Now to continue on with valve shrouding. Valve shrouding is when the valve, when it opens, the casting on how the head is cast, it kind of doesn't let the air go completely around this. It kind of knocks and goes this way. You know what I mean? As far as when the air comes. So sometimes people will grind off a little bit to get it to flow right. You know what I mean? To go over. These heads are revised, so you know this is a lot better head. And I think in the video I said they don't flow better than the other head. They do flow better than the other head, but you know what I mean? To get the most out of it now, you would have to port it. You got compression up, you should go in and port these heads just a taste in certain areas strategically to get it to flow a little bit more better. And man, then you'll have something that's pretty daggone decent. Now, is it going to create more horsepower? Probably not. What it's going to do is it's going to give you a better feel in the RPM range. You know what I mean? Especially in the mid-range. It's going to be ridiculous. So, we back up to speed to the engines, because I was supposed to be only 2 engines I was supposed to be talking about, but I talked about pretty much a little bit more than I should. 5.4 I would like to do, right? But the weakest part of the 5.4 is going to be the rods because of the length and the strength of the rods. They're longer, made out of the same material, they're a lot more weaker. Now the best part of that 5.4, the one that I have anyway, the 96 and 99, those have forged cranks in them. Majority of them did when they first came out. So it has forged cranks, so what would you like to do with that? Get some rods, get some pistons, and build a pretty damn decent engine with that setup and boost it. That's what I would like to do with the 5.4. 351, I don't have all the goodies to make that spunky yet. 3 valve, I would love to get a 3 valve, but I missed the boat a few times on a 3 valve, and I do like how it looks and sits in the engine bay. It looks kind of like a Coyote. First stage of the Coyote it looks like. And I love the way the engine looks versus the power that it makes. Many of you guys may sit there and talk about this 4.6 double overhead cam, and it's a great engine, but it's not my engine of choice. 2 valve first, 3 valve second, Coyote third, some other engines, and then that will be dead last. I don't even want to be bothered with a 4.6 double overhead cam. Because as I'm looking in this video, even though this video is 10 to 15 years old, the horsepower numbers after spending a daggone 10K plus.
All right, this little mod motor did good. 491 horsepower at 6,800 RPMs, 415 foot-pounds of torque at 5,900.
I'm not impressed. I know many of you guys may say, hey, look, man, it doesn't take that much. You could use nitrous, you could use turbo, what we're talking about in a setup. For those who are on a budget, man, you can go ahead and do a 302 swap. Now, there's some pros and cons. You just got to figure out if you're going EFI or you're going carburetor. I would go EFI because I have everything EFI here. It would just take me longer to wire up. That's what we're trying to do on the Maverick that's over there. So with that said, the 302 will probably be more backyard friendly for the engine builder who's doing it in his backyard. So what you would do is, compared to the 4.6 2 valve, you know what I mean, the 4.6 2 valve makes all this power up top. The engine is phenomenal in that aspect, but the performance aspect of the engine, it is horrible. Parts are more expensive, very limited stuff that you can do personally, and it's just not user friendly to the average guy versus the 302 that's been out for god dang eons, and there's a performance smorgasbord out there, recipes out the wazoo. You can get some horsepower for daggone cheap. People selling daggone whole engines making 400 or 500 horsepower. So you can go ahead and go buy something and just drop right into your car. Now with me, if I was to do this, you know, we're going to just slap this in and then build upon it. Again, slap this in NA, take it out after everything is running, and then build upon it. Now the goal will be for this type of setup here is around 350 horsepower. That's all I would want. So the 4.6 that I would build will be with the heads and all that stuff, the head swap, and do it very calmly. So right here we still have the Maverick here. We're trying to get things going. I went and bought some, you know, starting to buy some NASCAR parts. I figured that would be the best bet because, you know, I hate to, you know, you can go on eBay, you can build you a fuel line system, right? You can go ahead and build it. But this one here, it's already ready to go. You know, I bought that, and I bought this little gear shifter thing here. Yeah, so the Maverick will definitely be sporting some of that, you know, some NASCAR stuff inside of it. You know what I mean? It's due. I'm going to probably get some more shifter boots for the Crown Vic that's outside. So this video is very, very important. You guys may not think so, but yo, 302 or 4.6 with the head swap. I mean, most of you guys may, man, dude, this is no brainer. Or some of you guys may say, man, I heard this before and nobody really does it. Well, listen here, man. If you tell me, you support it, you put the link down there, and we do some pros and cons, we talk about it, and you have to be a part of this whole thing. You have to put your comment down. It's very important. You put your comment, you say 302. You put your comment, you say 4.6. 2 valve. There's no 3 valve, there's no 5 valves, no Coyote swap, there's no LS. We only got 2 engines to work with because we want to keep it on that note, and we can go ahead and start messing with that and getting that underway. Check in the description below where you can donate to the channel. That will be highly appreciative if you choose to do that. What it's really about is for you commenting below, and we all can congregate together, and it's like cracking a beer and we're gonna be talking some shit. That's what we're doing. So that's what's the important part of this whole video, man. We'll see you guys on the next one. Very sorry for the video being a little bit choppy and out of place. I just came out of the yeah, and I was on the floor, bro, and doing a lot better now. I still came out here and make sure I do this video so I can finish this thing up. So I need to know what's going on in your guys' brain. Maybe you guys have something that I missed, and that's why I didn't really go into the pros and cons of the engine too much. I kind of want to hear what you guys have to say. So we'll see you guys on the next, man. Later, and thank you for the support, man.